Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of our special podcast. My name is Alex, and today we are going to talk about something that every person, no matter where they live or how old they are, loves: food. But this is not just about what we eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Today, our journey will be about how food culture has changed and grown over time, and how the foods of the world come together with local flavors and traditions. The story of food is a story of people, places, sharing, and creativity. So, let's get hungry for knowledge and begin our adventure into the evolution of food culture and the magical meeting point where global and local foods become something special. Let's start by thinking about our own favorite foods. Maybe you like pizza, sushi, hamburgers, rice, soup, tacos, or bread. Maybe you eat noodles, or curry, or creamy desserts. Now, try to imagine a world without any of these foods. Can you? It's hard, isn't it? And yet, not so long ago, most people only ate foods that grew or were made in the place where they lived. If you lived in a small mountain village, you probably only ate what your family grew. If you lived near the sea, you ate fish or seaweed. If you lived in a hot country, you ate fruits and spices that grew in the sun. People's meals were planned by the land, the weather, and what their parents and grandparents taught them. Long ago, there were no airplanes, no speedy ships, no internet, and no telephones. Most people traveled only as far as they could walk in a day. This meant that the food in every town or village was very local. People used what was close by and in season. In cold places, people made soups and stews from roots and cabbages. In hot places, people prepared cooling salads and used lots of herbs or spices. Every place created its own delicious dishes to fit life there. These early food cultures were like seeds, planted in the ground of each community. But people have always been curious. Even in ancient times, adventurous traders, travelers, and explorers began to travel much farther from home. They carried special things with them, like spices, tea, or chocolate. As they moved from country to country, they tasted new foods and brought back the seeds, stories, and cooking styles to their families. Have you ever heard the phrase the Silk Road? It was not an actual road made of silk, but a famous route across mountains and deserts connecting Asia and Europe. People carried silk, gold, and silver back and forth, but they also brought peppers, rice, spices, fruits, and even noodles. Yes, that's right, some historians think that noodles traveled from China to Italy and became pasta. When a new food arrived in a place, the people there tried it, changed it, and added their own ideas. Sometimes these changes made the food quite different from the original recipe, but sometimes the new and local tastes mixed to become something delicious and unique. This is how food culture started to travel and mix, again and again, for hundreds and thousands of years. Let's talk about some tasty examples of how foods traveled around the world and met with local traditions. Think about potatoes. Today, people all over the world eat potatoes, in mashed potatoes, fries, chips, and more. But potatoes didn't always exist everywhere. They first grew wild in South America, in places like Peru and Bolivia. Long ago, people learned to dig up these special roots, cook them, and eat them for energy. But it wasn't until explorers from Europe traveled to South America that potatoes made a big journey to the rest of the world. When they brought potatoes back to Europe, people there first thought they looked strange and were not sure they were safe to eat. But soon, people learned how wonderful they were. Potatoes became a big part of meals in Ireland, Russia, France, and even faraway countries like India and Japan. Or how about tomatoes? They are bright red and juicy, and many people love them in salads, sandwiches, soups, and pizza sauce. Tomatoes first came from Central and South America. People in Europe did not know about them until the 1500s, when travelers brought them home. Today, it's hard to imagine Italian food without tomatoes. But did you know that, for many years, some Europeans were scared to eat tomatoes because they thought they were poisonous? It took a long time before people learned they were delicious and safe. Now, tomatoes are used almost everywhere, thanks to the meeting of global and local knowledge. Chocolate is a favorite sweet all around the world, but the first people to cook with chocolate lived in Central America a long time ago. Back then, chocolate was a drink, not a solid bar, and it did not have sugar. The people there mixed chocolate with spices and served it to kings and special guests. When Spanish explorers visited, they tasted this drink and brought chocolate and cacao beans back to Europe. In time, chocolate makers in Europe tried mixing it with milk and sugar, and soon, the chocolate bar was born. Now, people everywhere enjoy chocolate cakes, cookies, drinks, and candies. Spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and pepper were once more valuable than gold. People would risk dangerous journeys in ships or by camel to bring spices from faraway places. In the process, they shared stories, music, and ways of cooking that changed the meals of everyone involved. In India and Southeast Asia, spicy curry dishes were created. In Europe, people added cinnamon to sweet breads. In North Africa, peppers and herbs filled kitchens with rich aromas. This is a perfect example of the intersection between global and local in the world of food. Let's travel forward in time to bigger cities and more modern times. When ships became faster and trains were built, food moved even more quickly. Before refrigerators, people found ways to store food for a long time. This meant pickling, drying, making jams, and inventing all sorts of clever ways to save fruits, vegetables, fish, or meats for the winter. Cooks everywhere became very inventive. They took ideas from other cultures and changed them in ways that fit their own tastes. Now let's think about one food that is famous for being shared around the world: bread. Almost every culture has its own kind of bread. If you think about French baguettes, Middle Eastern pita bread, Mexican tortillas, Indian naan, or Chinese steamed buns, they are all forms of bread. Each one is a little different because it was made with what was easiest to find and cook. Sometimes when people moved to new countries to find work or start a new life, they brought their bread recipes with them. At the same time, they tasted bread from new friends and neighbors, and sometimes new breads were invented by mixing styles together. Maybe, if you look in your own kitchen, you can find bread from many different food traditions. When it comes to noodles, the story is even more amazing. Noodles are popular in China, Japan, Korea, Italy, Germany, and even America. The first noodles may have been made in China over 4,000 years ago, but each country makes them differently. Some are flat, some are long, some are thin, some are thick. Sometimes noodles are made with flour and eggs, sometimes with rice or buckwheat, sometimes by hand and sometimes by machine. When people share noodles, they also share creativity. In this way, noodles show us how global foods and local ways are always meeting and changing. Pizza is another tasty example. Most people think of pizza as Italian food. And it's true, pizza, with its round flat base and tomato sauce, started in Italy. But over time, pizza moved around the world, just like people. When Italian people moved to America, Brazil, Australia, or Japan, they brought pizza with them. But in every new place, pizza changed just a bit. In America, people started putting on extra cheese and making thick, chewy crusts. In Japan, pizza might have seaweed, corn, or even mayonnaise on top. In Brazil, you might find green peas or unique cheeses on pizza. Even in Italy, pizza is different in different cities, thin and crispy in Rome, soft and fluffy in Naples. This is the evolution of food culture in action. Let's stop and ask an important question: why do foods travel and change so much? One reason is because people move. They might move to study, to find work, or to take care of their families. When they move, they bring their favorite tastes with them. Another reason is curiosity. People love to try new things, especially new and tasty foods. When a chef or home cook learns about a new ingredient or style, they often want to try it in their own way. This is how new dishes are born and food culture continues to change. Sometimes, new technology changes food culture, too. The invention of trains, trucks, airplanes, fridges, and even the internet have all made it easier to find, share, and try foods from far away. Now you can order sushi in London, eat tacos in Tokyo, or buy French cheese in New York. People share pictures of meals on their phones, watch cooking videos from around the world, and even play cooking games. Our world of food is getting bigger and more connected all the time. But this brings us to a big question: what is local food, and why is it important? Local food means the food that grows or is made close to where you live. Local food often uses the seasons and the land. For example, in summer people eat sweet melons and tomatoes, and in the winter they eat root vegetables and stews. Eating local food is good for many reasons. It is fresh, so it tastes better. It often uses less energy to transport. And it helps support the farmers and cooks who live in your community. Local food connects people to their land and seasons, just like families have done for hundreds of years. At the same time, global foods help us discover new tastes and understand other people better. When you try curry from India, tacos from Mexico, or sushi from Japan, you are learning about the history and stories of those places. Every food has a story, from where the seeds were planted to who cooked it and how it was shared. Food can be like a map, showing us all the places people have traveled and all the friendships they have made. Let's look at festivals. In many countries, there are food festivals where people bring tastes from their own families and cultures. Maybe there's a bread festival, a chocolate festival, a noodle festival, or a farmer's market. There, you might taste spicy food from Africa, tangy food from the Middle East, sweet treats from Europe, or exciting snacks from Asia. At these festivals, people are not just eating, they are sharing, talking, learning, and sometimes even inventing new dishes together. This is one way global and local food cultures come together. Food can also help people make peace and friendships. There's a saying in many cultures, we all become friends when we eat together. Maybe you have sat at a table with someone from another country and tried their food. At first, you might be surprised by the color or smell or taste. But then, you take a bite, and you start to understand more about their home and their life. One dish can share 100 years of history. Sharing food is sharing our stories and our hearts. In modern cities, it is normal to see restaurants with many different kinds of food. There are sushi bars, Thai noodle shops, Italian pizza stalls, French bakeries, Indian curry houses, and burger places from America, just to name a few. Sometimes one restaurant will mix together foods from several countries and create a new style. These are called fusion restaurants. For example, a chef might make a sushi burrito, which is a big sushi roll filled with ingredients from Mexican cooking, or Korean tacos that mix spicy Korean beef and Mexican salsa between two tortillas. People love to try these new ideas, and sometimes they even become popular all over the world. But even with all this mixing, many people still want to keep their old food traditions alive. A grandmother might teach her grandchildren how to make dumplings, just like her own grandmother did. Families might cook special breads for holidays, or gather to make a soup or stew together for a celebration. These traditions help people remember where they came from and keep the stories of their family alive. It's also interesting to think about how global foods change when they meet new places. For example, in Japan, ramen noodles became famous, but ramen was first inspired by Chinese noodle soups. Over time, Japanese cooks made it their own by adding soy sauce, pork, seaweed, and soft-boiled eggs. Now, there are shops around the world serving Japanese ramen. Another example is curry. Curry came from India, but in England it became a favorite meal called chicken tikka masala, and in Japan, curry rice became a comforting home-style food. Sometimes new foods are invited for special reasons. A long time ago, when people were traveling the seas and looking for treasures, they got tired, sick, or hungry. Dining in foreign places, they sometimes mixed their own ingredients with new ones. When people started traveling just for fun, on airplanes, as tourists, they came home wanting to eat the exotic dishes they had tried on vacation. At first, cooks tried to copy the original recipes exactly. But soon, they began to use the local vegetables, bread, or meats they had. This is where unique crossings happened, and food culture evolved again. Let's think about pizza again. When Americans wanted pizza, they did not always have exactly the same cheese or flour as in Italy. So, pizza in America began to taste a little different, a little cheesier, a little thicker, and even bigger. Over the years, different cities invented their own pizza styles, like New York style with its thin, foldable slices, or Chicago style with a thick, deep crust like a pie. Or take hamburgers. Many people think hamburgers come from America, but the idea of putting meat between bread actually started in Germany, with something called the Hamburg steak. Then, someone in America put the steak between a soft bun, added lettuce, tomato, ketchup, and mustard, and called it a hamburger. Today, each country adds its own twist, maybe chili in Mexico, grilled pineapple in Hawaii, or teriyaki sauce in Japan. This is the fun of local and global ideas coming together. One amazing thing is how kids around the world grow up eating foods their parents love, and then add their own special flavor when they get older. Maybe a family moves from India to South Africa and learns to use local spices. Or maybe someone in Brazil puts tropical fruits on French-style cakes. When people travel, or when people from other places move to your hometown, new and delicious foods are created by mixing memories and imagination. It's also interesting to think about how people's worries and hopes change food culture. Today, people are talking about healthy eating, about the environment, and about how to grow food in ways that help, not hurt, the earth. In many big cities, people are excited about farm-to-table restaurants or growing food in rooftop gardens. These ideas bring local food culture back to city life. Some people want to protect old seeds, special kinds of corn, rice, or beans, so that traditional foods are never lost. Others work to make sure recipes from long ago are written down and shared so anyone can remember and learn. At the same time, social media and television introduce new foods, cooking shows, and ideas to everyone, everywhere. If a chef in Korea invents a new type of fried chicken, someone in America or Australia can see it online and try making it at home the next day. If a grandmother in Italy shows how to make fresh pasta, millions of people can follow her recipe. Food culture changes faster than ever before, almost like magic. But sometimes, with all this change, people worry about losing local taste, history, or balance. If everyone ate only global fast food, the beautiful traditions of each place might disappear. If people forget to cook with local vegetables or fruits, the small farmers and markets in each town might have trouble. The secret, many people believe, is to enjoy the best of both worlds. We can fill our tables with favorite foods from far away, but also celebrate and protect what makes our own place and family special. Sharing global foods builds bridges, while local food keeps us connected to home. Let's imagine a very special dinner table. On this table, there is warm naan bread from India, a bowl of Japanese miso soup, a salad made from tomatoes that grew nearby, spicy chicken from Africa, sweet fruit from the market, Italian pasta, and a chocolate cake for dessert. Around this table sit many people, parents, children, friends, old and young, from places near and far. When everyone shares their favorite food, stories, and memories, something wonderful happens. Everyone learns something new, feels close to each other, and creates memories to keep forever. This is the real power and beauty of food culture, the magic of local and global coming together. Now, take a look at your own life. What foods are special to you and your family? Are there recipes that have been in your family for a long time? Are there foods you eat only in summer, or winter, or at special holidays? Maybe you have tried foods from other countries, at restaurants, or with friends. Which flavors do you like best? Which ones surprised you? Who taught you how to cook or bake them? If you could invent a new dish, mixing your favorite local foods and a food from another part of the world, what would it be? Maybe it would be spaghetti with miso sauce, or a taco made with Thai curry chicken. The possibilities are endless when you combine ideas, traditions, and a little bit of imagination. Maybe one day, your invention will be famous. Food is not only about eating to fill your stomach. It is about love, family, friendship, memory, celebration, and comfort. When you're sad or sick, sometimes a special soup or your favorite dish can make you feel better. When you're happy, you celebrate with special sweets or a big family meal. When there's a holiday or festival, food helps everyone to come together and make the day memorable. Food also teaches us important lessons about sharing, about differences, and about kindness. When you taste food from another place, you learn about the people who made it in the place where it grew. You learn that even though people around the world look different and speak different languages, everyone loves to eat, and everyone has favorite recipes they treasure. There is an old saying, to understand another person, you should eat their bread and salt. It means food can help us cross borders and become friends. Sometimes, sharing food helps people solve problems, too. There are places in the world where people do not have enough to eat, or where special foods are very expensive. When people share seeds, recipes, or cooking ideas, they can make new meals from what is available, or help plants grow better in new places. When countries work together to share foods in times of need, it brings people closer and helps build peace. So, next time you sit down for a meal, think about all the people, places, and stories that travel to your table with each bite. Imagine the farmers who worked in the fields, the travelers who brought new seeds, the cooks who invented new recipes, and your own family who filled your plate with love. Remember, every meal is a chance to celebrate your own home and to try something new from far away. Maybe tonight, you can help cook dinner by trying a new ingredient, or asking someone at home for an old family recipe. Maybe you can invite a friend to share food from their culture, or write your own recipe using local and global flavors. Every time you do, you are adding to the wonderful, never-ending story of food culture. The story of food will keep growing and changing, just as people do. Local foods root us to our own places and people, while global foods help us understand and love the whole world. So let's celebrate both, our own special meals and the amazing new tastes from everywhere. The best way to connect, to learn, and to make joy is often not with words, but with food. Thank you for joining me on today's delicious journey into the evolution of food culture and the intersection of global and local. I hope, next time you share a meal, you will taste not only the flavors but also the stories, dreams, and friendships they bring. Until our next big adventure, I wish you happy cooking, happy eating, and many new tasty discoveries. See you next time.